All right. So we called you all here today to ask you this important question. I've been in the content production game for a long time, and Mike has for less time but a long time.
Long time.
And I can tell you, in the early days, like getting 100 people to look at something was a big deal to you. You know, to me.
Yeah.
You know, when YouTube first started, it was like, damn.
I think it still is for people who are just starting organically and watch whatever content, gaming, or because I have a lot of friends in the gaming world that are more new because I'm more new there, right? And so being a content creator is like the strongest social classifications in the world, you know? Like these top dogs ain't gonna care what the fuck I'm doing, not because they think I'm less human, but just because you tend to collaborate with people more on your level.
Right.
So in gaming, most of my folks are just throwing content on YouTube out of nowhere, brand new, and they're getting 100 views and they're stoked on it. Which it is. It is an accomplishment to get anyone to look at your stuff that's not your mom.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's
true.
It's just that you've done it so long, and we've rubbed elbows with people.
And we have expectations.
And we've done many a project, that's all.
But in the beginning, you know, powerlifting was not a big deal.
For sure not.
And like you could go on Google Trends and look at the search term powerlifting, and you can see that it was steadily declining. Declining.
What, 2000?
Back then, the you know,
sevens,
06, 07, 08.
Which makes sense because, I mean, although there's like the Donnie Thompsons and the Hoffs and the West Side era still was like late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. And then probably 05 to 2015. So that decade was probably some people love that stuff. I kind of like it too. We have a thing when we're gaming together to pop the top to each other. I think this tall, handsome guy started it. It
didn't do anything.
Yeah, he did it just to... What's
Does he shake it up?
It's like... what's it called?
Oh, that's awful.
What's it called? ASMR.
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 That's really bad.
Oh, no, it's not good.
It's really not good.
No.
Why do people drink energy drinks? Because they don't taste good.
No, that's probably the worst one I've ever had.
There goes our whatever RR is.
It's Rockstar. And I would love for them to sponsor us. Despite being gross, I'll drink it. I drink it. It's cotton candy. First thing, this is what it goes down to. We'll get back to this content creation history in a second, but who makes a energy drink? So basic stuff, right? You're making ice cream, you're making soda, you're making energy drinks. What are you going to base it off of? Well, something else that other people really love. Oh, people love vanilla ice cream. Let's make a cream soda. That sounds really good because people love vanilla ice cream. They'll probably like a cream flavored soda. Oh, genius. People really like strawberries. That seems to be a favorite fruit among many of people. Oh, let's make a strawberry soda or a strawberry ice cream. Oh, genius.
Right.
Let's make a strawberry energy drink. Also genius. Strawberries are delicious. One of nature's fine candies.
Yeah.
No one likes cotton candy to begin with.
Little kids do.
Yeah, but
but they only eat it until they drop it on the ground.
They don't know what the fuck they like is the issue. They're shitting themselves and picking their nose and running around in dirt. No one likes cotton candy, so why would you ever be like, wow, this sugary, unflavored substance that has really weird texture would be a great flavor for something else? Skittles, okay. Starburst, okay.
Yeah.
Even a fucking Snickers. Hey, let's make a Snickers protein shake. Oh, that makes some sense. No one in their right mind goes anywhere and says, all I want is cotton candy. And if you do, you're a psychopath.
I'm going to let Nimbus know in here that all the cool lifters drink Reign and not Rockstar. Well,
I disagree.
These were free, so that not from the company, but from Mike's childhood friend. I
actually Reign tastes okay, but honestly, I'm a Spike Rockstar guy. If I had to go with one, Reign's fine.
I like a White Monster still.
Yeah, they're fine. I just drink too many. Not enough caffeine.
I've not been having them for a long time. I'm doing this right now because I'm kind of running on empty. But.
Another great idea, orange. Orange, the fruit, delicious. Orange juice, everyone's favorite morning drink. Yeah. Let's put orange juice inside of a Rockstar energy drink, and that's the best energy drink that the planet's ever had. The all orange zero Rockstar. I drink it at 5 a.m. It's breakfast, nutritious and delicious. And rain is fine. Rain is fine, but no one wants cucumber jalapeno in anything. That's not good. That's another one. Oh, jalapenos. They're kind of good on some nachos. Let's put it in my beverage.
This sounds like you're on your way to a ceviche. You just throw in some raw fish juice in there with that, and you're like a liquid ceviche.
Oh, the new Monsters tuna sushi drinks coming out. No one wants that.
Nobody
bullshit.
wants that. Well, this says cotton candy, but what it tastes like is the frosting of a store-bought cupcake.
The hard pink frosting.
Yeah.
Which no one also likes.
Nobody likes that either.
Right. You buy that when you have to feed 20 kids at a soccer game.
Now, you know what? The frosting that would work for this is, although it's too sweet, but it would still work, is the carnival animal, the frosted carnival animal.
So when it comes down to whether you want to call it a cracker or a cookie in a box, that's the best one of all time. I love the little pink and white things.
Yeah.
I don't know what animals each one is because the shape is so poor. But they're so delicious.
Yeah, they're really good.
I don't know if I want that in my energy drink.
I don't know either, but if you're going to go with a sweet flavor, that's a decent one.
I would love a vanilla ice cream with animal crackers crinkled in there.
Repped by Vanilla Ice.
Or me.
Or you.
It has no relation, but it sounds delicious. One day we'll get the ice cream sponsorship I've been hunting down for a decade. One day the world will care.
I feel like Halo Top sent us something at some point way in the past.
Yeah.
And the problem is that they're mostly air. They don't taste bad, but they're just mostly air.
Yeah, they improved a little bit. A lot of them have improved. Enlighten sent us stuff a long time ago. It was good. But I'm looking like Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah.
Our local boys Devil May Care.
Okay, just be fat. Let's just be fat.
Back to where we were. So there's a slump in powerlifting in general. Actually, I would actually not call it a slump. What do they call it? The calm before the storm. That's what I would call it. Because geared lifting was wavering. Weights were getting so ridiculous. The gear itself was getting so ridiculous. It's definitely at that point, when you're throwing on briefs, knee wraps, an insanely tight suit, you're not going to get the soccer mom down the street that happens to be on your video or walk by your meet to be enticed. And so things started getting crazy in the early 2000s, right?
I don't know what that was.
This is a podcast studio in here, dude. And you just exploded the leather chair.
This is I'm just going to throw this out here right now. This room is louder than I want it to be. And not only just because of Dan.
And my friends are louder than I want them to be.
We're a stone's throw from I-5. We're in a tin can. We have taken kind of the first step of sound mitigation in this place, in that we tore out everything that was in here that had been inhabited by rats. It was a rat kingdom. And then spray foamed the walls and the ceiling and stuff. And I think that knocked things down a little. And the temperature is definitely better in here than it was.
No, I think the audio's fine if our friends didn't belly flop into a couch. Oh, that's a joke.
He's trying to rent a couch in this space. Anyway.
Yeah, and after that performance, it's not allowed. So geared lifting is getting too crazy. People can't relate. Where back in the day, you'd get into lifting. I want to bench press. Oh, maybe my shoulder hurts. Or, I want to lift more weight. And you start to throw on a little bit of gear. Then it just got obnoxious, a little crazy, right? Yeah. Same thing like, I have a car. Let's make it a little bit faster. It'd be cool if I could move a little bit faster on the road. And then now all of a sudden you're a drag car and it's not even allowed on the road, right? That's kind of where this gear took you. Plus content creation in general, organic content creation that was non-Hollywood, non-commercialized was just in infancy during that time too. Yeah. So besides that, you were talking Google Analytics. And then that kind of raw era, which is part of why we moved into this building, started to evolve. 2010, 2011, 2012, and then probably skyrocketed 2015, 16, 17 based on jacked guys now lifting raw, strong guys now lifting raw with weights that are similar, if not better, than these geared guys. And in my personal opinion, the advent of YouTube and podcast. That's and social media. That's honestly my personal point of view. But continue.
So things ramped up in part because of raw lifting, in part because probably of CrossFit, because people who had never heard of powerlifting became exposed to powerlifting, because although CrossFit is multi-derivative, I mean, they stole from everybody. They at least gave credit to the fact that these were different disciplines that came together. I guess. And people knew that it was powerlifting, and they knew that it was Olympic lifting, and they knew it was gymnastics. They knew those things came from other places, and then CrossFit stamped their name on the whole program,
Sure.
but not on those individual pieces. So
and squatting never made you worse at anything. It only improves everything. Well,
So-
I don't care if you're a chess player; you'll probably somehow get better through a squat.
So if you look at the Google Trends, it went way up, and now, as Connor tells me, it's down to about 25% of what it was at the peak. And we know plenty of content creators who are not getting the kind of traction on YouTube that they were getting. I mean, like,
Or putting the content out.
Yeah.
Because multiple things. I think, obviously, ripple effect. What's cool with any kind of niche is that you can, most of the time, if something's like factual or has some substance, you can scale it up and down.
Yeah.
Right? So we can look at why the Google analytic of powerlifting is down 75%. Well, COVID.
Yeah.
Right? So COVID hit, so then no one can work out. So then no one can work out, so then the content creators can't work out.
Right.
So then the content creator they can't create content. So then the interest in that subject even goes down even more because now you're used to working out 5 times a week, watching YouTube 3 times a week, listening to your 3 favorite fitness podcasts, going to your favorite blog website, watching your favorite competition. Now competitions can't go on any longer. There's no meets, World's Strongest Man, as well as Nationals, which are 2 big drivers of just strength training in general, were both skipped. USAPL Nationals and even IPF Worlds, I think, might have got canceled this year, are both driven around that. As well as, obviously, the World's Strongest Man, which is a huge driver all summer for strength. And then the CrossFit Games, which they still did online or in person or some weird combo. I don't
know. Matt Fraser won again. That's all I know.
Yeah, and so did Tia Claire Toomey. I saw some of the announcements.
They might as well just like mail it in from this point forward.
They're freaks. And it just gets... I stopped paying attention just when they made the like regionals and path to the games like more complicated. Like if you lose your... Like even basketball, baseball, they did their championships all different and condensed, but they kept the platform the same. Like I still understood how the Lakers got to the finals and won.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you get to the CrossFit Games anymore. It used to be a step-by-step, and now
I don't understand that either.
it's online, and then it was online and weird before COVID.
Yeah.
And so it confused me.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. But the situation becomes people who are producing like educational content for lifting. Like you said, they can't produce content, or they try to step into something else. You know, they take a step into a different content area, or they do, more lifestyle stuff or whatever, more vlogging, whatever.
But even that
is
what are you
down.
going to do? Yeah. What are you
going to do?
Yeah.
So that's the question we have. Obviously, is like, what do people want to see? Now, there's kind of a truism in business that says your current customers can't tell you where you need to take your business.
Sure.
Because that's an established base.
Right.
And it's, you're always trying to build your audience, build your customer base, whatever. But I'm ignoring that, and I'm going to say, what do you want to see?
Lifting's a interesting thing educationally, and so is just school in general. But the thing is, it's something you can obviously have continued learning with all of it, and even the science is still catching up because generally strength training in the manner that we do is still kind of new to be studied. They didn't normally throw money at those type of studies, so things are still just catching up to what we do in application. But once you have like a grasp on things, the difference too is that not every meathead wants to get strong, but not every meathead needs to be an academic. They don't always care how or the pathways. They just want sets and reps and to go.
Yeah.
And so a lot of content creating in this thing, it's a reason that like education to some extent isn't a huge thing on YouTube in the broad sense.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going there to learn chemistry. And not that you couldn't. You could probably learn chemistry. I mean, they're doing it on Zoom. You can do it on Zoom.
Right.
You could definitely do it on YouTube. But typically, because those are like continued education styles, where here you kind of learn deadlift form basically. You go and deadlift, and then you want to get a little bit stronger, you learn another tip, you learn another tip. But once you have a grasp on it, you don't really need anything else.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's that complicated. You can get into the minutia of sets and reps and biomechanics and all these things, but generally speaking, the ceiling to get kind of strong educationally isn't that high. It's really not. So even to your fact of like being, whether it's business or just want to create content that people enjoy and see, I've always took the route of like share my experiences, share my knowledge, because how many times can I teach you how to deadlift? You know, if you counted it, there's probably 6 million views of my fat face in varied videos teaching a sumo deadlift somewhere.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding.com, channel, my channel, Bart's channel, et cetera, Omar's channel. And so where do you go with any of that?
Yeah.
Now, we spent a lot of money to create a space to create whatever content we want.
Sure did.
In here, out there, for our community.
Yeah.
But we can't serve our online community, which is really your and I roots.
Yeah.
So then, how do we educate those folks or entertain or what comes next? The other interesting thing is our big background, although you started in 2007 with more video stuff. I still consider myself probably first a podcaster over a YouTuber, which is just an interesting thing in itself because we're talking about lifting.
Right.
Which is like kind of stupid, really.
But what else are you going to do? I mean,
right.
it mirrors every other topic. In
100%. A lot of comedians just talk about comedy on a podcast,
right?
Rather than but they don't go on a podcast and they don't.
They're not always funny. They're not always doing bits. They're actually kind of get called out for doing bits. It turns into whatever that late night show is. It's really just set up. I can't remember what it's called, but it's really just set up for comedians to just do bits.
Yeah. Which seems corny on a podcast. I mean, there's a difference if you're listening to a live audio version of someone's show. Mm-hmm. That's one thing, right? Like back in the day, I bought Dane Cook's first show on CD.
Yeah.
That's different than tuning into a podcast to hear your favorite comedian talk about life or his wife or his favorite food or something. Rogan obviously kind of went that route, and that's why I think it's so successful. And that's, I think, why we've had some success is we are lifters talking about lifting, but we're not just talking about lifting.
Yeah. And I think, this is not going to be popular, but I think that Rogan has sold out and in a lot of ways on content by platforming people that have done bad things.
Yeah.
Like have been like had judgments against them in court for doing bad things. And the only reason to have them on is that they're provocative and people will watch.
I think that's a very common YouTube thing.
Yeah, it is too. Yeah.
Before we hop into some good questions here on YouTube, I think Rogan also, despite him being actually a pretty good interviewer, he has a mini grasp on a lot of things. Like his strength and conditioning and nutrition knowledge just isn't there, and that's some of the stuff you're talking about. No hate to him. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts. And I think they're really, really good. And I don't think he would ever claim to be like a nutritionist, which is also, I do tip my hat at that. He doesn't claim to be the expert.
Yeah.
But there is a responsibility on who you platform on your own shit.
That I feel that's true. Other people may not feel that that's true. If you've completely sold out, you don't feel that way at all.
Yeah, and then
you don't have any of that remorse.
Yeah, and it's just so hard. I don't know if sell is the right word for him. I think it is for a lot of people because like he knows so many famous. Like he's had Jamie Foxx on his show. You know, like he's already at the top before he even had a show. In a way, he had connections to big names, so he could get those people. And typically, to me, selling out means that you have like a certain moral level, and then you sell yourself to the devil is like the joke or the QAnon that's coming after me, where you then become successful having a pedophile on your show. If we're going with the same gimmick, but like for him, my point is that he already had those friends. And he's a decent interviewer. He was bound to be successful. Yeah. It's almost more like lack of responsibility to me than being a sellout.
Yeah.
Where other YouTubers have been like a sellout. Sorry to all my QAnons in the chat. Good question from Finn if you want to do that. And then we can hit Scott Strong if you want to.
Can you imagine, this is from Finny Finn 73. I imagine, wait, where am I at? Where am I starting? Where's the question?
What do you think about Pete Rubish throwing some gear to mix things up, lift some heavier weights?
That's Scott Strong.
I don't know if that's what Pete is doing or if you're just generally asking if we think he should do that. I would never suggest someone to, hey man, you should lift in wraps, or hey, you should not lift in wraps. I don't care because it's your lifting in your life.
Yeah.
If Pete is doing that, that's a different conversation, in which case I think it's cool. I've done it. I've thrown on briefs. I've squatted. I've thrown on briefs. I've sumoed. I think as a coach, as a lifter, it's cool to learn other methods. I've done some weightlifting, with some our boy Ben, who's a national level coach and lifter himself. I've tried to dabble. We've hung out with Ram and a bunch of strength and conditioning coaches. Our boy Jacob. I think it's good to gather knowledge wherever you go. And if Pete's just doing it for fun and wants to smash a big deadlift, or if he wants to do it for serious, by all means, I think it's cool. There's a couple other lifters, Bryce Krawcheck, who's kind of always been in single ply gear. But he was a raw guy. He's taken a little more serious to go single ply. There is a small evolution, I think, of the USAPL single ply lifter, and I do think single ply definitely has its place in the strength sports. Personally, I'm not a fan of where geared lifting ended up. And I think by popularity and everything else, that's why it's not a thing. It's not relevant. Whether you guys want to make it relevant or not, I don't care. I'm probably will still watch it just because this is what I do for a living in a way. But I don't think it's necessary. It doesn't have a place in my modern day strength sports. But I think if Pete wants to throw on some briefs, smash some weights, or deadlift suits, smash some weights, or compete full single ply, I think that's kind of the limit of where my head is. To me, it's like, what was so there's the XFL, but then Vince McMahon made like a basketball league.
Oh, I don't know what that was called, but
they're on fucking trampolines, you know? And yeah. I thought it was cool because I was 12.
Right.
I was like, wow, I could be really good at this. I like trampolines and I like basketball. But as an adult, I'm like, well, I don't need that. LeBron James can do that dunk on the ground. Why do I want to watch some OK college player jump on a trampoline and dunk?
Yeah.
It's just not there.
It's not there, yeah. Going back to the question, it also said we should have him on. Yeah, I would love to have Pete on at some point. Be awesome to have him here in person, but we could have him on.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, 100%. We love Pete.
Yeah.
As far as we know, that Pete still likes us. So
yeah, I'd be 100% down.
Yeah.
Once you guys get the SB set up, it would be cool to see some occasional spotlights of your regular members. Yeah, I think that's definitely in the plans. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Jim, but I know he wanted to get, whether it's revamping this channel that we're on right now or starting a new one with some of his more old-style content. I think the world could benefit from that because I think the lifters that have succeeded deserve success by all means. My boy Russ and all these guys on YouTube, they crush weights. They're smart dudes. They put out really good content. They put a ton of effort into it. But I do think there's something to a team-style training environment where there's varied skill levels, varied experience, and varied strength. Or even our boy Dan, who just belly flopped onto our brand new couch, squatted over 800 pounds, pulled over 700, insanely strong, but he's never nosedived into lifting how I have because he's had a career, he's built his business, which congrats to him. We're always trying to support him. If you guys are in Northern California and need security, check out Capital Protection Group, CPG. But he, so in some say he's way stronger than me. He's probably a better athlete than me, but he's less experienced than me in multiple ways. So to have him, obviously we've had him on this silly podcast with us and YouTube and everything, but I think having him and then our boy Kyle, who's going to be managing this mess of a gym that we're putting together, professional baseball player, squatted over 300 pounds, bench pressed over 300 pounds.
At 6'5".
6'5". Today I was teaching him how to sumo deadlift. He's never done a sumo deadlift in his life. Yeah. Well, that's because he got drafted into the Major League Baseball out of high school, right? So that's a varying thing, yet again, freak athlete, but varying nosedive, but he's super into lifting. He follows guys like Eric Helms and he listens to stuff. So I do think, I don't know if Jim's going to do it or we're going to do it, the team's going to do it. Some type of content with members or our personal training partners probably will return in some form for sure.
Yeah, and thinking about that, like we've done a couple of live streams on your Twitch since we've not really been open, but we have a limited number of weights.
We have 5 plates. Point. We have 5 45s.
A large equipment company owes us a lot of about like
90.
Yeah.
To be exact. 90, 45 pound
90,
plates.
45 pound plates. We'll eventually get those and we'll be able to do more stuff in here. But you've been doing that, and that is like you host it, you come on, you talk to your Twitch people or whatever. That is a different experience than shooting a bunch of people lifting together, cutting it together, and then commenting on on what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. Which I've done a bunch of, and I don't know who's doing it now. Is anybody doing it now?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Omar will do one here and there, and then I would do one here and there, but no one on the scale of multiple lifters and no one on the scale that you did for sure. Griffin says, what specific parts of his nutrition philosophy do you disagree with? Are you talking about like Rogan?
Rogan. I think he's talking about Rogan.
I don't know Rogan if he wrote a book or has said like, this is what I believe in nutrition. I just know that he's had multiple people on there that I deem in my brain not credible, and that also just logically speaking say some things that go against science, go against not only science but application. And I understand the goal of many content creators you would think is altruistic, where they want to help the masses in their fitness and health lifestyle. But the truth is, a lot of these people are just trying to sell books. They're trying to go on they've said something controversial on Twitter that went viral that got Rogan's attention. So then now they go on Rogan and they're just trying to build up their own audience from that. And maybe I'm jaded because I've been in this world a long time, but I think very few of those people have gone on there and said fiber and broccoli is going to cause you more cancer than anything else. People, that type of stuff just has no credibility in the science academia world or in any application I've ever had. And again, I don't know if that's Rogan's exact philosophy himself. I know he dabbles in ketogenic diets. I know he dabbles in carnivore, but I also know that he's the same as everyone else, posting a huge plate of pasta every Friday, binging. So I don't think that's the best path to teach the America in particular moderation, balanced lifestyle to help our obesity epidemic. You hear the word pandemic for 8 months, you forget how to speak.
There used to be epidemics that were not everywhere.
That aren't just
although that one is kind of everywhere. But.
No, it's bad. And so I guess that would be my take on him. Again, I don't know his exact philosophy. And then to me, again, I don't think it's safe or responsible for Jim and I to have someone on our podcast that thinks you only need to eat crickets. Right? I don't think that we built an audience based on hopefully our personalities and giving out good, helpful information that we honestly, of course, we want fucking views. I'm never going to lie to you. I've said this from day one on podcasts, but we want to also help people. We don't make a ton of money on this podcast. This has always been a passion project. We've never made a ton of money on our podcast. And so we want to help people as much as we can. And just like your friends represent who you are, if your friend goes out and is a mass murderer, probably doesn't look great on you that he's your best friend. I think of our podcast guests very similar. I think of them extension, and a lot of them, lucky for us, are our friends. I love Omar, love Eric Helms, love Alan, I love our boy Jacob and Ram and all these guys we've had on here. I would go to war with those guys. But also, they're in my network of my credibility.
Yeah.
Now, when people say, well, Mike doesn't know shit about training, well, I can point to all my friends that I've learned things from or whatever it might be and say, well, maybe I'm not the best at it, but I can ask Ram or I can learn from Ram. Or I'm not the best at it, but I can go ask Eric.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's where I would say I disagree with his philosophy, whether it be on content creation or his actual philosophy itself.
In terms of, the scientific information being presented, that is very popular, but it depends on the source. Like the Stronger by Science podcast does really well. Yeah. And it is, they don't talk a lot of lifestyle stuff. I mean, it's all very.
That's Greg?
Yeah, it's Greg. And it's.
Maybe the smartest dude in the game.
Maybe so. And that's a podcast that charts all the time.
Right, and that's a very niche academic style.
Yeah, it is. And that's not somewhere that you're going to go or I'm going to go or we're going to go together. We could have people on here who can talk like that.
For sure.
And be, credible sources of information, but we are not those people.
Yeah.
And I suppose that makes a difference in and of itself.
Both Scott and Finney say that more clips, highlights of each episode, whether I assume you guys want it on YouTube, but whatever channel we end up pushing fully, it may be this one, and maybe we do have a 50% facts channel itself, as well as Instagram, 50% facts, or the gym. So we don't know exactly. We're going to start to funnel some of these things in together, probably, whether it be Instagram of the podcast in the gym, whether it be Jim's, McD's, JIM's, YouTube, and the 50% one. We're going to, I don't know if we're going to condense them necessarily, but we're going to streamline where things sit. Yeah. And eventually we'll get those clips up, and then as well as our Instagrams and Twitters. So we definitely plan on getting more quick edits or short tidbits, whether it be hopefully some funny. Hopefully we can entertain your dumbasses out there, and hopefully have more credible academia folk than we are, and so we can have quick clips that you guys can learn something in 3 minutes rather than sitting through a 2-hour podcast, for sure.
Right. I'm never doing another 2-hour podcast, by the way.
Ever?
No. There isn't anybody that I would do a 2-hour podcast with.
No. What if we had rotating guests? Keep them entertained with some whiskey.
Maybe. You
get Dan for 15 minutes. You get Kyle for 15 minutes.
If we had a bunch of people in town for an event.
See?
Maybe.
2 hours is long. What's the longest we've ever done, you and I? 3? maybe close to a 3 ball.
Close to 3. Yeah.
That's crazy. Rogan does that on the regular.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a tank. Again, I know it sounded like I just talked shit on him. The guy's done great. He is talented. We're not taking anything away from him. It's just drawing the line of where we sit and how we choose guests and how others may choose guests. And he's just a big, broad name that we can point to. There's way worse than him out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I just want to let Joel Kenny that's a negatory.
Yeah, probably a never, buddy.
That's a never.
Back to the basics. Like your name, I appreciate it. He wants to normalize more okay deadlifts. You want to see more people normalizing, people progressing from 405 to 500, and I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more, and I think that's where I sit in this thing. Me and Kyle here, we're talking about it, genetics, and someone even asked me recently why. Crap, I lost my plan. What my genetic potential is. That's what someone asked me on Instagram. And I was like, man, I don't waste my time thinking about that. Have I gotten close to my genetic potential of strength? I haven't thought about that. But then me and Kyle were talking about other powerlifters and him and I and even Dan and in the scope of do you have good genetics athletically? And you can have good genetics in one area and not the other. You could have great jumping genetics and not be very strong, just depending on your build and obviously your family. I am that guy that has slightly above average genetics. I won't lie. I mean, I grabbed the basketball rim in 8th grade at 5'8". It's not like I'm not LeBron James, but I'm not your average Joe. I'm a pretty good athlete. And so, but in the terms of strength, I'm really not. I mean, it took me 10 years to go from a 450 deadlift to a 700 deadlift. And a lot of that was early days of raw powerlifting, so I had to kind of figure things out on my own. And everyone's like, yeah, Mike, you're not average, you pulled 700. I'm like, bro, the pains I got to get to 700. And again, some of it was non-optimal training. It was trying different philosophies, training around people that weren't doing what I was doing supplementation-wise and training-wise that didn't fit. So some of it's definitely on me. And so I think more people can get there, but I think that is where guys like me and Omar have found space in YouTube creation, is that we're not Larry Wheels. We're not Bradley Martin.
Right.
I'm 5'9", I'm 220, and I'm okay strong, and I work kind of hard, and that's all. Yeah. So we can 100% more normalize that is where I was getting.
Bradley was somebody who was built in a lab. I mean,
he's freaky.
Just super freaky.
Overhead squat 315. He's never even trained that way. He could probably squat 800 if he really wanted to.
Yeah. Different. Larry Wheels, just kind of one of the strongest young people on the planet. Yeah.
I reached out to him when he was 17. I think he was squatting 750. Just.
Yeah. It's craziness.
Finny Finn wants to know, COVID pandemic out of the way, events planned for the new space, ideas, competitions, or gatherings.
The answer is yeah. We've had it in our mind to be able to do that stuff. In part because we started planning this long before anyone even named COVID, or before it started showing up. We'd be planning something right now. There were thoughts about having a real grand opening and having a lot of folks in. And that just doesn't seem like the responsible thing to even try to do at this point, even though we could probably get away with it, but I don't think that it would be worth it right now. But eventually, yeah, for sure. The idea is to have a space where we can have people come in who are, good lifters, good content creators, interesting people to talk to, other folks. We're going to spend some more time with people in our own geographic location as well, talking about different aspects of, business and whatever, just to build ourselves into the community here, because we're used to having, I just saw a comment that I lost my train of thought. We're used to having kind of an international audience, and we don't really have a local audience as much as we would like to, and as much as we need to be able to run a business in this community.
Audience or presence. I think general schedule, what we look at now is hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, fingers crossed, we're going to do probably a soft opening. So Nothing's announced, no dates or anything, but we'll probably have an open house-ish day. No party, no DJ, no twerkers or car washes or nothing yet. That's the plan for the big one. And no dodgeball tournament. And then
twerking tournament.
Yeah, we'll get these people in here, get you guys to see the space, maybe work out a little bit, ask us any questions, meet the team, et cetera, see the space. Probably take memberships that day, and then we'll probably just open. As sadly as unclimactic, as anticlimactic as that is for how much effort we put into the thing, that's probably how we have to go for now. Our space can hold maybe 20 to 30 people at a time safely by the guidelines of our state.
Right.
We'll have sufficient sanitizing and cleaning and all our protocols aligned. And again, hopefully that's my goal is definitely before Thanksgiving. So that's that. Maybe a year, who knows, right? The world is a wild spot. We cannot control it, but maybe a year, maybe 2 years, year and a half, we'll get some meets going. We want to do community nights, and that's open probably for guests. Again, no details. Everything's subject to change, but whether it be like a dodgeball tournament, a Call of Duty tournament, a deadlift night, a poker night, a hangout night, a watch a basketball Kings game night, whatever it might be, we want to involve the community in a positive manner, not taking away, but adding to our city, and then helping our members find ways, and even me. And in some ways, it's selfish, but I think all things can come from a selfish need and not be selfish, meaning that I don't love to go to bars at midnight and get hammered. That's not my idea of fun. But there's not a lot of things for me, and I'm 32, and there's not a lot of things for me to do. So how do we build that here for other people that probably feel the same way, but are stuck spending $50 getting hammered drunk because that's all their friends know how to do every weekend? So how do we do something healthy, something good for the community, something good for us, and probably not make money that night, but maybe we build communities, maybe we build friends, maybe we make business connections for others or ourselves. And I think that's how we add to that. So definitely powerlifting competitions, who knows when, how, where. Definitely community nights, who knows how often. We're going to have some warehouse sales and things of that nature, some top secret clothing. But for now, I think it's soft launch the gym. Continue content with you guys is our best way to connect, and continue our apparel with you guys. Long time to connect. Was a Joe Fletcher comment? I'll take it if you want it. I'll hit you, Joe. Don't know the details, any falling out or anything, but best content ever was put out with these two and Mark Bell. Can't you get back together for the podcast? Probably not, my friend. Jim and I have been doing this podcast now going on year 1.8 years.
No,
January. I thought it was a January 2 years ago.
It was December
2 years ago. Okay, so 1 point. Yeah,
almost
1.8.
Oh yeah,
1.8. So Jim and I will continue this podcast. This will change and transform as all content does. Who knows where we're going or what it might be. Chances are it's going to be Jim and I. We may pick up another co-host. Chances are highly that it's not Mark Bell. He's doing his own thing, and that's great. We're starting our own world. We've been in our own world, and we love to collaborate with a bunch of different people, but that one is unlikely, my friend.
Yeah, supremely unlikely.
Not powerlifting related, but I think it would be cool to see thought process behind the scenes and the designing of the merch apparel. Casey 100%. So again, we don't know where things are going to go content-wise because we have a lot of channels. We have this podcast channel. Combined, we have 3 or 4 Instagrams, Jim's, mine, the Jim's, the podcast. My YouTube, Jim's personal YouTube, podcast YouTube. In some form, we'll organize this. And so things will overlap for sure, but they'll be their own entities in a way, content-wise. What that might be, I don't know. I can speak on my stuff, and maybe Jim can speak more on what his thoughts are for his own, even though he has a little bit. And that's really why we're doing this podcast, is to get feedback for you guys. In terms of like the designing and the back end and the behind the scenes, there definitely might be behind the scenes here on the podcast. You guys have getting snippets. You guys get first touch at all the launches. We announce it here before anywhere else, here in my Twitch community. And then to actually see, I plan to vlog. So I'll be doing probably not dailies, but day in the life of living, business, lifting on my channel. And there might be some snippets or secret things behind my head that you guys might be able to catch. Easter eggs. That's something I love about video games and movies, is Easter eggs. So maybe there'll be shit like that unintentionally or intentionally on mine. But yeah, that's where I see that maybe sneaking in as well as us talking about it here.
And roll back a couple of episodes, we had Oliver Munby, our designer, on, and there was definitely some insight in that as to what the process was working with him, which was really great. And I was intentionally not in the middle of all of it. Mike has been really driven
I'm excited
to put together this apparel line, and I think he's done a great job. I'm really proud that is something that represents our gym to the world, really. Although plenty of people locally have bought stuff as well. I was pretty surprised. This launch went quite well.
Yeah.
Went really well. Considering where we are in the world and the economy and all that stuff, I think it did exceptionally well.
I think so too. Yeah.
But if you go there now, you will find that there is nothing up.
Yeah.
But there will be, in a few weeks, we will have a new big drop.
Real big.
Of a broad number of things, but a limited number of quantities still, just because that's where we are. We're trying to run the playbook the way you're supposed to run it when you're building an apparel brand. You have to have some scarcity, to be honest. To protect yourself in terms of like, oh wow, we made a decision that didn't pan out, and now we have 60,000 of something, and that we can't get rid of.
Right. You get $10,000 sitting in a scarf, and now the business goes under, and that's literally how businesses lose.
Right.
And so, are we playing a limited edition game? I would say yes, in some senses. I talked about it on Instagram a little bit too. Part of it is to force me, and shout out to Jim for trusting me. I went to a nerd art school for 13 years, and they probably public schools too. I don't know. They put you through like Myers-Briggs, and we did a billion of those type things.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to find out what is driving you or what fulfills you. And I think that's literally just the secret to life is people don't know. And so they try to help you, but at 16, you definitely don't know.
Right.
I'm 32. I still don't really know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is I need to create, and Jim's trusted me enough to create that. And something that I've always been into is clothing and shoes and hip hop culture and streetwear culture since 2005 on the message boards of High Snobiety and Hype Beast and all these in the Hundreds blog and stuff like that. And so for now, doing one-off runs or the limited game, will it help our hype? Maybe, but what it definitely will help and force me to do better. It will force me to create and force me to work in a manner that hopefully allows some organic creation of something cool for our community, like Jim said. Mm-hmm. So that's the original reason in my head. It just is beautiful that it lines up with us not buying 10,000 of a unit and going broke. Because that's literally what kills every business ever, is how do you scale. And I think, would we love to be Nike? Probably, but chances are low, and also that's not our goal. If Nike just came to us and want to buy us, I do like money, but chances are we're going to find our lane, scale up without trying to explode, and just create cool things for people that fuck with us, really.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. The coaster on the table was mentioned. This is kind of a one-off. I did these through Sticker Mule because we wanted them, and I love this bear. Will this ever be a thing? Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Anything's possible.
But we did this for us because we like this thing.
Yeah,
we like this thing we created.
And we built all these desks, and we don't want water rings on them all.
That as well. On a somewhat serious note, roll back to something that Mike was addressing earlier. When I stopped podcasting with the person that you were talking about, it was because he quit. He quit that show. And then what I was told was that podcasting was dragging the brand down and holding it back. And that this person was not going to podcast anymore. And then shortly thereafter, they created a new podcast, changing one word and starting over. And so I don't think that is a truthful person, and I can only deal with people that I am comfortable with and would believe in, and there's that. So
yeah, it goes into a long conversation too of working with friends, or who do you work with, or how do you know, and everyone wants to work for themselves, and everyone thinks it's so cool to not have a boss. But the truth is, I think, and again, it just ties in beautifully to our philosophy of good company, is that it's just about finding your group. And everyone reads all these books and thinks does some drugs and bites a frog or something, and they found enlightenment and found their tribe or whatever the fuck the world's doing now on the internet. We don't do that. But what we do find is that people come and go in your life. It's okay to close doors. It's okay to open doors. It's okay to have people in for a long time. It's okay to have people in for a short time.
Yeah.
You're writing your own book. And this is where our book puts us right now. And this is the team that we're around right now. It would be awesome if this team stays together for 10, 20 years. Mm-hmm. Chances are low that happens. That is life. And so things move around. And it's easy to get attached to projects we used to do, or maybe you like this project more, or maybe you like that project more, or maybe you like this more, or maybe you like Omar more. Doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is that nothing really lasts. All content and humans change and move, and it's just that we put our faces on the internet that is noticed. Yeah. You guys probably have friends that you just haven't texted in 6 months, and you don't even think about it because you guys just kind of went this way, and that's just really is how life goes. It's just that literally 10 years now. I'm used to saying 8 years. I don't know why, because you just say the same thing for a long time, but it's 10 years. I've put my face on the internet here with Jim. And so you guys know a lot about us, and that's why it becomes an alert, and you whatever it might be. But Alan Thrall on a podcast would be killer. Definitely love to have Alan on again. We're pimping out this room again. We literally just moved in here last night. Jim finalized it, but we finished painting whatever the day before. This is our office studio, design studio, and the goal is to build it to have our cool friends in. And so we've had Alan on this podcast if you want to go back and look at it. But Alan is an amazing dude, good friend, absolutely love him, and I'm sure we'll have him on here many a time.
And he's currently one of the people still killing the content game. I don't know if his numbers have changed over time, and I'm not sure exactly what the deal is. I'm not sure. Like, I like Alan.
Yeah.
But
we'll find out right now.
Like, his content is not directed at me.
For sure.
And I try not to. Let me back up and say, I try to drive the boat in terms of context, but I don't necessarily always drive the boat in terms of the exact content, because I am not the target audience for the content that we produce most of the time.
Yeah.
And so I look at Alan's numbers. I know that he did stuff entirely by himself for a very long time, which is crazy. He got very successful doing stuff by himself. I think he has help now. But he doesn't produce the content that I'm looking for. But at the same time, I don't watch a lot of lifting related content, and I haven't for years.
Yeah, I don't really prep for our podcast unless we have a guest I've never heard of or whatever.
Right.
And then I'll do some research and try to prep up, or if we're tackling a more serious topic in the past, or even this one, we had a mental health specialist at the beginning of COVID, and I try to do my research and kind of, what do they say, clean up the chops, or lick? You don't lick your chops. That means you're hungry. Get your chops.
Give me the context again. I got lost.
So there's lick your chops. That means you're hungry.
Right.
Like clean up your chops or something when you're getting ready for something, or like if I play drums and I haven't played in a long time, and you're like, Mike, come jam or something. I'd have to whatever. Get prepared.
Practice. I don't know.
Yeah. Practice basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something to do with chops there. Point being, I don't prepare for. I have an insane brain. I'm not a healthy human always, and my brain always runs. So I almost try to not think about what we're about to talk about. I like to give you guys raw feedback in a way, and I actually go into what content's popular, like reactions or whatever.
Right.
So this is just live. But when you did tell me what today's topic was, or what we're going to tackle, the thing that popped in my mind, and we've talked about it multiple times, is I don't absorb any content. The last content I've absorbed, and it's just because I'm a big fan, is I watch Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. I love Alex Jones. I don't know why. I absolutely love the man. Maybe a dream guest. Everyone, that's a common question. Like, who do you want to have breakfast with, or who's your? I love Alex Jones. I really don't know why. I love the man. But besides that, I'll watch some guys game here and there. But often it's just on mute in the background while I'm working. I don't absorb YouTube. I don't absorb podcasts. Jim asked me to do a podcast 10 years ago. I've probably listened to a handful of podcasts since.
That were not Rogan.
Less than a handful. I listen to Rogan on car trips because his shit's 5 hours, and I know I can get to LA, and I choose one guest because I don't listen to him year round. Within 6 months, he'll have one guest that I enjoy, and I'll choose that guest. Johnny Knoxville was one of them, or people that I like that, Jamie Foxx, and I'll download that, and I'll drive or I'll fly. But if I'm not driving or flying, I'll do the occasional audiobook when my ADD is not bad. And that's it. I don't look at Instagram. I'm stuck looking at content whether I want to or not. I'm just addicted, and it's just in my face. Twitter, same thing. But I don't listen to podcasts. I don't watch YouTube. I watch movies, and I watch some Netflix series and stuff, but I'm talking about like who your person, like who your content's for. It's not for, I don't create content for me. I create content I want and share what I want, but it's a little bit different. So I can't really say, like you said, like Alan doesn't make it for you. I've never made anything for me. I guess in some senses, maybe I made stuff for like 17-year-old Mike that wanted to learn more about lifting. Like, what are the things I want to know, or what are the things I can share now that I'm 32 and 15 years in the game to people that want to learn. But, and I guess early on in my age 18 to like 23, I watched vloggers. I don't know why. There's something with that, and that's what I try to share. It's just my experience in me, and if you relate, that's cool. But I watched Matt Ogus a lot. Shout out to the local boy who maybe we'll get on here as well someday. But there was just something about, or like the Ronnie Coleman documentaries, like the first ones, where it really was just it was the first day in the life of eating. Yeah. And he's just eating chicken and rice, and he's kind of walking around his house. He's doing a little cardio. He kind of lifts, but it's kind of raw. It's so raw and like quiet yet intense at the same time, despite they're not putting corny music in. It's just him there. There's something to that I kind of enjoy. But to be honest, I don't think, which I also think is healthy, and I know I'm just rambling at this point, but I do think is good for a creator in some sense. And this is, whether it's myth or truth, Lil Wayne said he didn't listen to any other rapper. And I don't necessarily believe that, but he said he didn't want it to taint his lyrics or what he's about to do. And that concept I do respect. That's not necessarily why I don't listen to other stuff, but I think there's something to that as well. If I just only watch Alan Thrall, then my videos become fucking Alan Thrall videos. Yeah. No, I agree. That is a problem. You get that stuff into your subconscious, and then it just comes right back out. That's a problem for like songwriters and stuff. Is it that you'll reprise somebody else's stuff, and actually it's kind of true for comedians as well. It's dangerous for comedians to listen to other comedians too much, because they start to absorb that stuff, and it just comes out of their subconscious mind while they're just rambling. Yeah, and that's something why like I connected with the people I do connect with and stay in touch with, like the Allens and the Omars and Barts, probably is not only is our online content semi-similar, but we as humans just tend to be similar, of similar age, of similar morals, of similar thought. That's the thing. That's part of the big thing is just dealing with people that you're comfortable with. And a thing about this industry, which is I think true of many industries, is that you meet a lot of people. You meet a lot of people who are relatively well known, and you're always asking yourself the question: is this person the same person that I've seen on their media, or is it somebody different? Yeah. And it is fairly often that it's somebody different, and the people that you want to hang with are the people who are the same. Who 100%. I mean, their presentation skills might be good, and so they might be, they might be clocked up to 110% of themselves or whatever. Yeah. But the reality is the people that we want to deal with are the people who are the same all the time. And don't get us wrong, like we've obviously had a lot of success with creating content. That's why we continue to do it. I don't know if I only got 100 views on everything I've ever done, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, one, I'd probably find a way to get more views or whatever. Like I'd get creative or do research, but the point is that we've had some success, and even at the level of success we've had, which, it's all a spectrum, we've had enough to build a life around it in some senses. Yeah. at this point, I only want to create content with people that I enjoy being around. And again, wrap that into the philosophy of a good company and what we stand for here. But I don't want to necessarily interview the smartest deadlift coach if he sucks. Like, I just don't care. I just don't care at this point. I'm too old. My energy is too low. My time is too valuable to myself. Mm-hmm. I want to go to the guy that's pretty good at deadlifting and can teach it really, really well, that I want to hang out with after, that I want to go grab a meal with, that I actually want to train with, that I want to, whatever topic that is, or just a person I want to talk to. Well, I want to have on our podcast, and that's why we built this cool place for people I want to talk to. Right.
Some folks too have been successful in spite of themselves and not because of things that they've done, and that's just not very transferable. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, 100%. And then again, those are probably the same folks that I just don't want to talk to. Yeah, they're probably not there.
Run PMC says, "What's up, Jim McDonald, Mike? What's up is this." We're probably gonna wrap up here in a couple minutes, but any party thoughts?
I got nothing. I'm excited though. I'm excited that the office is done. That was a big headache weighing on my chin. I'm excited that maybe the gym will be together in 2 weeks. Everyone wants like normalcy, and although I feel like we've been on a train on a track to nowhere. What's that movie? I think they just redid it, but it's an older movie. The world goes into an ice age, and some genius. It's a decent movie. The concept's better than the movie.
Snowpiercer.
Maybe. Is that the show? Because there was a movie.
Yeah, there's a movie
that.
And then a show. Yeah.
All right, so I watched the movie, and I think the concept is so genius, and the movie was good, not great. Yeah. But I loved the concept. But we're just driving around the world. So we're just plowing through snow trying to get this shit done.
That's true.
And so that was some sense of normalcy compared to COVID, being locked in your house and not knowing what to do or how to work or whatever, which was also not great for many and wasn't good for me either. But I'm excited to have like an actual schedule. Like, all right, I'm going to hang out and sell some memberships at this time. I'm going to clean at this time. I'm going to work out at this time. The YouTube's going to be out Monday, Wednesday. Podcast's going to be out Wednesday. I'm going to post my Instagram, because that's what happens when you work for yourself. You have to build that, or you would never be successful working for yourself. Yeah. So then now I'm craving that a little bit again. It'll help my nutrition. It'll help my cardio. It'll help my lifting. It'll help the business itself. It'll help the content. Hopefully it'll help you guys see that and build that. It helps everything.
I have been definitely guilty of getting caught up in small things as we're working on this, but small things that were important to me. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to the day when it's only small things that I'm dealing with and not really big ones. I don't know what to do. Yeah. Outside of that, just keep chugging and hope that we find a day in sometime in the future, sometime in 2021, when life is somewhat back to normal. We can have however many people we want in the gym at the time. It can survive on its own merits, because I think that's a thing that it's a thing that the pandemic has kind of taken away from us. Yeah. Things that would normally survive on their own merits because they're good ideas that are well executed. Yeah. Are suffering during this time.
Yeah, life kind of throws that at you. You could do whatever you want perfectly, and something can still stop you. But if you prepare correctly and handle all your shit, chances are you have a better chance to succeed, or you can change your route and still succeed. Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at with, if I only had 100 views for 10 years, I'd probably quit. Mm-hmm. But the chances are, if I only had 100 views for a year, I'd find a way to succeed, because you handle your shit. And props to you, props to our team. That we have handled our shit. We've done the right steps. We've done the right thing. And that's something that's my biggest pill to swallow as an adult. In sports, in school, it's not that way in society, sadly. That's the difference here, is that if you do the right thing, good things come. And I don't mean karma. Karma's, whatever. If you believe karma, whatever.
Karma's a little retrospective.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that if I do this, if I do that correctly, if I do this correctly, if I handle my ducks in a row, whether it be work, morals, treating people the right way, doing all this, good things have to happen because I worked for it, because of preparation, because of practice. Yeah. If I treat Jim nicely with respect, Jim will treat me nicely with respect. And now this works often, but humans are confusing animals. They're sick animals, mental illness, drugs, personality disorders. There's a lot of things that get in that way. But often, not always, but often, business, I think, is that. Like you just said, if you have a good idea, if you build around it correctly, if you pay attention to details, if you do the right things, your business has a good chance. Not a guaranteed chance.
Not a guarantee, but
and we've done that. We've done that. The team's executed. We've built a plan. And so I'm excited now I guess we're now in phase 2 is what I'm getting at. I think we're in phase 2.
I think that sounds good. I want to be in phase 2.
Yeah, I think we're in phase 2 because all we're literally waiting on is equipment to show up. We mop the gym and now we're open.
Yeah.
So we're in phase 2, and then part of phase 2 is the content creation. It's the connecting to you guys. It's the finding our normalcy. So our idea becomes its own. And it's not Jim and Mike's, it's not JIM and Mike's GYM. It's 3rd Street Barbell. And so I'm excited to kind of shove that out there.
If you would like to see us continue to do these live shows, please let us know.
Like the video. Are you going to keep this up? Might as well keep it up. Right?
Yeah, I will keep it up. Why not?
Give a thumbs up, kids. Let this thing see the world.
Somebody gave us a thumbs down. I don't know who you are, but you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, but thank you anyways, because the algorithm takes it all the same. It's just engagement. Go fuck yourself. You helped us.
All right.
Every Wednesday, brand new podcast.
Except Friday this week.
Except for when we decide to do it on Fridays. I'm Silent Mike, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Twitch, Silent Mike, YouTube, Silent Mike, 3rd Street Barbell on Instagram. Follow there. 3. A bunch of information coming. Clothing, announcements on the gym, everything will be there. So follow that if you're interested. Appreciate you guys.
I am at the Jim McDonald. All the social media of the show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers, and the website is the same. And we'll talk to you in a thanks, Berto. Good luck with the gym. Thank you very much. And we'll be back next week with another new show and maybe some guests or something. I don't know. I have some in mind. We had to
reconfigure
to make this all work. But thanks for joining us.